Hello everyone, this is Heather here with Treasured Hometown. Today I wanted to spend some time going over with you how to make these cute little crochet amigurumi jellyfish. They do take a little bit of time to work up, mostly because of all the little tentacles coming off of it, but they are actually quite easy in order to make. You can easily make them, especially while sitting around listening to Netflix at night. As with all my patterns, all the materials that I do use to create these will actually be linked in the video description box below. And once it's available, I will have a PDF version of this pattern for each step along the way available at my Etsy shop, and that will also be linked in the video description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. For today, this project, we're going to need a few supplies. We're going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. We'll need a marker in order to mark our space. Not necessary, but especially for beginner intermediate, it's very nice to mark where the beginning of your row is, for especially we're using our chain 1. Scissors in order to cut our yarn. Darning needle, because we will be needing to sew a piece on. It is possible to use a slip stitch with a crochet hook, but I find it much more tedious and difficult to use with just a crochet hook. We'll need our lanyard clasp. In order for the top of it, our jellyfish, if you're choosing to use it as like a clip for a keychain or decoration to add. This piece is totally optional. You do not need that. It could be a standalone little creature. We'll need some poly pellets for our stuffing inside of our jellyfish. And then for this one that I'm showing you today, I am using simply Red Heart acrylic yarn. It's a number 4 weight. And I am using Perfectly Pink and Baby Pink for creating these today. To begin, we're going to start with our Baby Pink yarn. We're going to create a magic ring. So hold the yarn between your thumb and forefinger, wrap around your first 2 fingers with the working end facing towards you, and then lay it back. And then I insert my hook between my 2 fingers and grab that working end of the yarn and pull up a loop. And then from here, we're simply chain 1. And into that chain 1 space, or into that chain 1, we're going to insert our marker into there. And from here, we're going to put 6 single crochets into the ring. Alright, and then we're going to pull the tail end of our magic ring in order to close it. Now yes, go ahead and pull that nice and tight. And then we slip stitch into that marked chain 1 stitch of the round in order to join. And there we are with round 1. For round 2, we're going to begin and do a chain 1 and replace that marker into that first chain. Now as a reminder, this chain 1 does not count as a stitch for the round throughout this entire pattern. Into our first single crochet from the last row, we're going to put 2 single crochets into there. And then we're going to put 2 single crochets into each of the next 5 stitches. And then we slip stitch into that marked chain 1 of the round in order to join. And there we are with round 2. For round 3, we're going to start off again with a chain 1. Then into our first stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochets. And then we're going to put 1 single crochet into the stitch after that. And then we're just going to repeat this going all the way around. 2 single crochets into your first stitch, 1 single crochet into your next stitch. And this row will end up having a total of 18 single crochet stitches made. And then we slip stitch into that marked chain 1 of the round in order to join. And there we are with round 3. For round 4, once again, we start with a chain 1. Then into our first stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochets. Then we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And we just repeat this going all the way around. 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And this round will end up having a total of 24 single crochet stitches made. And then we slip stitch into our marked chain 1 stitch of the round in order to join. And there we are with round 4. Rounds 5 through 8, we start each round with a chain 1, and then we simply single crochet into the next 24 stitches. And so we repeat that and then slip stitch at the end of each round into the marked chain 1 stitch, and you repeat that for each round 5 through 8. There we are, we've finished round 8 and we're moving on to round 9. So we chain 1, and then what we're going to do is single crochet decrease. So go into your first stitch and pull up a loop, go into your second stitch and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Then we're going to single crochet once into your next 2 stitches. And you're going to repeat this 5 more times, going all the way around for this round. And this round will end up having a total of 18 stitches made. And then we slip stitch into that marked chain 1 at the beginning of the round in order to join. And there we are with the end of round 9. For round 10, we'll start again with our chain 1. Now if we look at our project, we have our front loops and our back loops. We're going to work into these back loops only, so the loops farthest away from us. And into there, we're going to put 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And we're going to repeat this going all the way around the opening, so we'll repeat it 5 more times. 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into your next 2 stitches, and that's working in the back loops only. And this row will have 24 stitches made. And then we slip stitch into that marked chain 1 stitch at the round in order to join. And then from here we can simply tie off. And there we are for the end of round 10. For our next little section, we're basically going back to the beginning and doing a repeat of our first 3 rounds. So create your magic ring, do a chain 1, place your marker into that first chain 1 of the round, and then single crochet 6 times into the ring. Pull the tail of the magic ring in order to close, and then slip stitch into that first chain 1 of the round in order to join. Go on to the second round, so chain 1, 2 single crochets into each stitch, going all the way around. So 12 single crochets into this round. Slip stitch into your first marked chain 1 of the round in order to join. Chain 1, 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next. Repeat that 5 more times. So this round will have a total of 18. And then slip stitch into your first marked chain 1 of the round in order to join. Then we're going to tie off, leaving our tail end roughly about 18 inches long. We'll use this later to attach. For this round, we're going to start with our perfectly pink yarn. Create our slip knot. And then we're going to chain 20. And then from here, we're going to work into that second chain from our hook, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into there, and we're working 1 loop only. And then we're going to put 2 single crochets into each chain all the way back to the very beginning first chain. And then from here, simply tie off. And then we're going to do 1 more just like this in the baby pink yarn. And then we're going to make another one in the perfectly pink yarn, but we're going to start with a chain of 30 and then do the same 2 single crochets into each stitch all the way through. Now for our second type of tentacle that we're going to need, we're going to make 4 total of each color, but each of those 4 are just, these are going to be simple chains for it. The first one is going to be 1 of each color, 22 chains, another one of both colors at 25 chains, another of both colors at 28, and another of them at 30 chains. So I'll make one and show you kind of how I'm working in that first tail end. So here's our first one. I have 22 chains, and we simply tie off, and you just want to leave your tail end long enough you'll be able to use that to tie in. And then for this little piece, I brought it up about 8 stitches, so it's kind of woven in pretty good. And so you want to repeat that with the bright pink, so one of each color at 22, 25, 28, and 30 chains. So here we are, finished with all of our tentacles. Now what we're going to do is attach all these tentacles into that smaller little ring that we made in step 11. So we're going to start with the large curly ones, and we're going to insert them into right between round 1 and round 2. Easiest way I found is go through with your crochet hook. You can use a darning needle to pull all these through, but I think it's a lot extra work in order to do with the darning needle. And we just pull those through stitches right next to each other, and then flip it over to the other side and simply tie them on with a square knot. And then I go ahead and trim off the ends, just because I don't want them in the way, because we'll end up with quite a few little ends onto here. Now it's your choice. You don't have to trim them off. You can also save those ends to use as a stuffing if you're choosing not to use the poly pellets and use like a polyfill instead. And then your second curly tentacle, also still into that same between the first and second rows. So we have our curly tentacles added. Now we want to add in our straight tentacles, and they're going to go in between rounds 2 and 3. So go into one of the stitch spaces, and I like to add them because of the length at random, but I do like to alternate between colors. Now because this is only one strand, I'm just going to lay that there. I'm going to go into another stitch, and then I'm going to pull up a baby pink because we did a perfect pink. And then from here I'm going to take these 2 strands, tie with a square knot. I'm not going to pull them super tight because they are just a chain. Trim the ends and make sure you're not trimming our extra long tail. We'll still need that here soon. And there we are with our tentacles all attached. And yes, I did alternate. So we have a baby pink and then a perfect pink. So those are alternated throughout. From here, we're going to start doing the safety eyes. So what we're doing is, here was the back seam for the head. So on the opposite side, now we're going to count up 1, 2. So, well, here is that increase line into where we did the back loops only, or the outer loops. And then right here, 1, 2. So we're going to put our eyes between our second and third row, or if you're counting this one, your third and fourth. So insert 1 safety eye. Now we're going to count over 1, 2, 3, and into that 4th stitch is where we'll insert our second safety eye. So you can see 1, 2 between those two, 1, 2 between those two. Add our backs to secure. And there we are with our safety eyes attached. Now from here, we want our head of our jellyfish flipped over. Now we're going to take that extra long tail and thread it into our darning needle. And yes, I do use a threader for mine just because I cannot get the yarn through the eye of the darning needle without it. Now what we're going to do is, with the tentacles facing away from us, we're going to sew this into the head of our jellyfish. We're going to match these stitches here with that front loop or the inside loops of the head. And we're just going to match stitch to stitch, coming all the way around until we only have maybe 5 or 6 loops left. Alright, now that we've got just a small opening left for our jellyfish, we're going to take our poly pellets and start stuffing our jellyfish. All right, now that we have our jellyfish fully stuffed, we simply come back with our darning needle and finish sewing our jellyfish together. And then simply tie off. And then our last little end from here, simply weave in. And then if you're putting on your lanyard clasp, we come right to the top of our jellyfish and right into this very center. We'll simply sew the clasp into there. Now as I'm doing this, I'm taking the tail, but I'm not coming all the way through. I'm kind of holding it back a little bit here. Secure the end, use a square knot. And there we are with our Amigurumi crochet jellyfish. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a little thumbs up like. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. And if you have yet to subscribe, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button with that bell notification next to it so you can get a heads up every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.